Burnout in relationships isn't just over investing. It's about emotional betrayal. Burnout itself isn't just doing too much for people. When we think of emotional burnout, relationship burnout, we might assume it's about constantly doing things for others, running errands, caretaking, being available, or emotionally supporting someone nonstop. But the deeper cause of relational burnout is not the doing itself. It's how much of yourself you're giving without being emotionally met, valued, or reciprocated. In other words, you're giving too much to people or dynamics to give nothing or very little back. That's what we want to talk about today on Trauma Talks, okay? What is emotional betrayal in a relationship? Emotional betrayal happens when you offer consistent care, loyalty, or vulnerability, but the other person consistently dismisses, invalidates, neglects, or manipulates you. You feel unseen, unheard, or unsafe, even though you keep showing up. This often leads to deep emotional depletion, loss of trust, not just in them, but in yourself. Guilt for needing space or boundaries, anxiety around conflict or emotional expression. Okay, this is a very, very complex problem. So how it shows up in everyday relational dynamics. I want to talk to you about that. Here are some examples of betrayal-based burnout in relationships. Over-functioning while the other under-functions. You're doing all the emotional labor, initiating talks, fixing problems, managing everyone's feelings, taking care of your partner's wounds, but ignoring your own. You're always in the listener's role, therapist role, or peacekeeper, never the one who's being held. Being emotionally available in a relationship that's transactional or conditional. You show love consistently, but it only comes back when the other person needs something. Silencing your needs to keep the peace. Over time, this eats away at your identity, and leads to resentment or emotional detachment. So trying to earn love or worth by being hyper responsible when your value is tied to performance, not presence. You burn out trying to prove you matter. It's so horrible. The impact of this type of burnout, relational burnout, is rooted in betrayal. Doesn't just exhaust you, it wounds you, deeply wounds you. You may notice feeling resentful or emotionally numb towards people you love, avoiding intimacy or closeness because you feel unsafe or one-sided. Depression masked as I'm just tired, chronic people pleasing or fawning, deep grief for not being seen or loved in the way you give. This is where many survivors of trauma find themselves, unfortunately, burnt out from the core. Relationships where they chronically overfunction and are under-received. It is horrible. What healing looks like. Okay, like in these kind of relationships. Healing begins when people acknowledge that the love, loyalty, and labor deserve mutuality. You are not selfish for requiring emotional safety, setting boundaries, or choosing relationships where your voice matters, wanting rest not just in your schedule, but in your soul. Okay? This is such a complex problem. So for a final thought here, love without betrayal is possible. Burnout in relationships doesn't mean you're too sensitive, too giving, or too emotional. It means you're waking up to the truth that love should not cost you your sense of self. When you choose to protect your energy and honor your needs, you're not abandoning others. You are returning to you. You hear that? You're returning to you. So let's talk about this more. This is Trauma Talks with Krystal Boothe. Thanks for